Two Gays Watch a Movie!
With Aaron Holman.
And Zacary Landalt.
Hi, I'm your host, Aaron Holman.
And I'm your other host, Zacary Landalt.
And today, we are watching Happiest Season. All right, just real quick, what do you think about that title?
I think it's a little subversive because in the terms of this movie, it is not, I think it's kind of, to me, it's sort of a play on how it's supposed to be the quote-unquote happiest season, but it's actually, for a lot of queer people, I think the holidays can be very melancholy, at least for me.
I agree.
Speaking of, this is our Christmas Day episode. I just want to wish a Merry Christmas to all our listeners.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas, Aaron!
Oh, Merry Christmas, Dad.
I mean, it's not Christmas right now, but when it's
But
Christmas,
it is right now.
It's Christmas in my heart.
We are closing out our winter movie calendar with the new LGBT-focused romantic comedy that dropped on Hulu this year, Happiest Season. Like we were just discussing with the title, though, little misleading, no?
I just think it's a little tongue-in-cheeky. It's like, yeah, happiest season.
It just makes it hard for me to remember the title of the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a little disassociative. That's why I brought it up.
I think it's funny. People keep calling it the happiest season, but
me too. That's what I keep doing.
Season. Yeah. Well, it was directed by queer icon Clea Duvall, who also co-wrote the script with Mary Holland, who also portrays Jane in the film. The rest of the cast includes Kristen Stewart, Mackenzie Davis, Dan Levy, Mary Steenburgen, Victor Garber, Aubrey Plaza, Allison Brie, Anna Guest-Sire, and also features cameos by RuPaul's Drag Race alumni Jinx Monsoon and Vendela Creme.
Wow, talk about a star-studded cast.
I mean, my God, what a cast.
I know. What a perfect combination of people.
Before the movie came out, when I saw the cast list, I was like, I will be watching that.
Oh, me too. I knew it was great. I think I suggested it the second that the trailer dropped. I was like, we got to put this one on our season.
Yeah, we actually canceled. So originally, today, we were going to be covering the Jonathan Bennett Hallmark sort of gay Christmas movie, but it's it has been told to me since then. I've not seen it yet. I have heard that the gay plotline is actually not the central plotline of that movie. That it's actually not. It's like an adjacent plotline, but it's like it's not like this is like this movie. The LGBT plotline is the plotline of the movie, whereas with that one, I hear it's just adjacent. It's around.
Now, before we dive further into this movie, let's take a quick listen to the trailer for Happiest Season.
Let's do it.
I just woke up thinking about going home with you and got very excited about Christmas. I get to go meet the people that made my favorite person.
I'll always take December way over summer.
Abby, you and Harper have a perfect relationship.
She is my person, and I really want everyone to know that. I want to marry her.
What are you doing on your phone?
I left a gentleman alone in my apartment, so I'm tracking him to make sure he leaves.
You're tracking him?
Yeah, I track everybody. If the NSA can do it, so can I.
I'm so excited. I can't believe I'm finally going to meet everyone.
There's something that we should talk about. Hi! I didn't tell my parents I'm gay.
So who do they think I am?
This is Harper's orphan friend, Abby.
Yes, of course. They're there.
You're so brave. You don't need to be.
I cannot believe I've got all my daughters under one roof.
So her parents believe their straight daughter brought home her lesbian friend for Christmas?
Not exactly. They also think that I'm straight.
Have they ever met a lesbian?
This is why I avoid Christmas. It brings out the worst in everything.
I've always skated circles around you.
I love it when they do this.
You're such a cheater!
Makes it so fun.
No!
Just be yourself, but don't lie. You're a very bad liar.
Riley! Harper. This is Abby. Abby is my
orphan roommate. I am an orphan, but we live together as friends, like acquaintances.
Oh, please stop.
Yeah.
Bells ring out on the...
I can relate to being in love with somebody that is too afraid to show the world who they are.
What are you doing in the closet?
Have I been good in...
I'm here to rescue you.
Are you the ex-boyfriend?
Yes, I am very sexually attracted to her. A female. I nailed that, and she is fabulous.
You're the only girl I've got on my list. I write your name, I know it's foolish.
I'm scared
Do you know how painful it's been to watch the person that I love hide me?
I am not hiding you. I am hiding me.
Everybody's story is different. Just because Harper isn't ready doesn't mean she doesn't love you.
Abby, honey, are you okay?
Morning.
I'm sorry about all this mess.
Morning, kids.
Morning.
Honey, I'm headed to the office. Mwah. Have a good day.
You know I will.
What a trailer.
What a trailer. And I yeah, right off the bat, really enjoyed this. So this is definitely going to go into my, I think, yearly queue.
I will definitely throw it in there. If not every year, at least every other year. This one was something I really enjoyed. And I think in terms of representation for an LGBT relationship being at the forefront of like a major film, I think they did really, really well.
Yeah, and I was very pleasantly surprised by how funny it was. Like, I just thought it was going to be either cheesy or super dramatic, and it does get dramatic. There are definitely some tear-jerking moments, but it was actually really funny. And yeah, like I said earlier, Mary Holland, who plays Mackenzie Davis's sister Jane, who's the quirky sister, she was hired. I found this out from it was from the Las Culturistas podcast that she was recently a guest on, that she was reached out to by Clea Duvall, who pretty much was like, I'm making this movie and I want it to be funny, so I want to hire a comedian to like help me write the script. So she really infused all that humor into it.
I thought it was a really good look at a lesbian love relationship. We opened with the movie with it being Kristen Stewart and Mackenzie Davis's character, Abby and Harper, and we sort of watched their relationship. I loved literally the opening sequence where we saw like their relationship in a beautiful sort of like postcard
Pivotal moment.
plastic.
It needed to be there. That was a very needed scene. Well, we need that scene because they go through a lot as a couple in this movie. And so I think if we had not had a scene where it's very clear, like, no, they really love each other. They really we needed to see the sweetness because they go through some sour moments later in this movie.
They do, absolutely.
They do sneak onto the roof of someone's house, which I was like, excuse me.
No, but listen, I'm not gonna speak for lesbians, but I just have known a lot of lesbians in the wild, shall I say? And this is exactly how lesbians fall in love. They fall in love like
on rooftops.
They do. They fall in love like teenagers, climbing roofs, the whole back and forth of their relationship. Like,
what's the old joke? Like, was a lesbian bring to a second date a U-Haul?
Oh, the U-Haul, absolutely. And then like the making out, like they were literally running away after getting caught on the roof. Which, if I'm remembering,
also, I'm very gay. Like I've never been attracted to women. No offense to the women, but Kristen Stewart was like, she was hot in this movie. Like I was like, she's looking good in this movie. Like I was talking to someone about this. I think ever since she has felt comfortable being more open about her identity, like her queer identity, I've seen her relax as a performer on screen. At least for me, she seems so much less. I think the big critique of her for a long time was, she seems so nervous, seems so tense. And I think she just seems so much more relaxed and funny. Like she had some funny moments in this.
Yeah, I'm going to be 100% honest. I have never, up until this movie, I have never been a Kristen Stewart fan. Besides, she essentially played herself in a small cameo role in Into the Wild.
She was good in that.
She was great in that because she was playing a musician and like the music she was playing was her own written stuff. And so
I didn't know.
I've always really wanted to like Kristen Stewart, but until she got past that weird fidgety thing. And yeah, like you said, she has a lot more poise, confidence, and she was just relaxed in this role. It made me love her. This is my favorite thing I've ever seen her in.
You know what else you should watch if you've not seen it? Because I actually think it's my still favorite thing I've ever seen her in, was she was actually incredibly funny and the MVP, honestly, of Charlie's Angels. If you ever saw Charlie's Angels,
I had not seen the remake.
She's the best thing in it. Like she's so funny in that movie, like in a way where I went, oh, are you funny? Like I didn't know you were even a funny lady. But yeah, so yeah, we get introduced to the couple. They're very, very sweet, and it's clear that the girlfriend Harper is going home to see her family, and originally they were just going to spend time apart for the holiday. Then at the last minute, because she's so in love with her partner, that she's going to invite her to come home to meet her family. Now, here's where it's my well, not only qualm. It's my biggest qualm with the movie, even though I kind of get it, is that I don't understand why Harper waited until literally a couple of miles from her family's house to be like, "Hey, so just so you know, remember how I said I came out to my family last summer? I actually didn't do any of that, and they don't know I'm gay, and they think that you're my orphan roommate, and so we can't be gay." Like, it was just like, I don't I think a better I mean, I don't want to be like, if I had written this, but just in my head, I think they should have had a conversation before they left about this being a thing. And then Kristen Stewart being like, I'll still come. Because then at least it's like a choice she made.
Yeah,
Like,
you're right. It was entrapment this way.
but at the same time, I this doesn't seem unrealistic. Like, I mean, for someone that's in the closet and afraid of upsetting their partner, it's not like impossible to imagine. I just think it was a little clunky, plot wise.
I I understand what you're saying by it being
Mhm.
a little clunky, and I do agree. But it does unfortunately make sense, like
Oh,
in
it definitely does. Yeah.
a real life aspect of like it would be probably messy.
And she probably had been sitting on that for so long and was terrified that she would like hate her if she
Well,
found out, you know.
but I'm not gonna lie. By the time that they were getting to the house, I
Mhm.
was already fully against the character of Harper because, like, I was mad at her because of how she was handling it or how she was
Mhm.
choosing not to handle things. It personally, if I were Kristen Stewart, if I were in her exact position, I
Mhm.
would not have stood for it the same way that she did.
Well, I
Uh,
think it is kind of like you said, entrapment. You used the word entrapment. It
yeah.
was a little bit of entrapment because she waited until like they literally had no choice but to
And then she also
go forward.
insisted where she was like, you probably shouldn't even tell them that you are gay. It's probably
Right.
better to just avoid the topic altogether.
Yeah.
For me, I'm so sorry. That's not, no. You know,
It's
like
not fair to ask of your partner. Yeah.
I would be willing to be your roommate. You
Right.
know, if that made the holiday go smoother or whatever,
Yeah.
but like
But I'm gonna be me. Like,
I'm
I'm your
going to be
roommate.
me. If I have to lie about the one thing, we're not building a fake world. But
Yeah.
I understand that this does happen in a lot of relationships.
It
Um,
does. And I
yeah,
gotta say, when this movie first came out, I saw a lot of queer people, and you know, everyone's opinion is valid. Everyone has their own way they're coming at it. I saw a lot of people just sort of being like, "Fuck Harper. I don't even like her as a character. I wish they didn't
I
end up
felt that
together."
way.
Oh,
I
all
did. I
right.
felt that way for a large portion of it.
Mm.
But I
Well,
was able to come back because I also realized that, you know, it was a 5-day trip in total or whatever.
no.
People aren't going to change their relationships while they're on vacation. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
as much as I love Aubrey Plaza,
Hmm.
which I can't wait to discuss her
Yeah,
more,
we'll get there. Yeah, yeah.
as much as I love her, it doesn't make sense for their relationship not to work out, you know,
And I don't
the
think
one that
it's
already exists.
And I don't think it's fair to judge someone's relationship based off of 5 days. And, because the other thing, the reason
Totally true.
I mean, I definitely was like, "Oh, Harper, my god, oh,
Yeah,
why?"
there were a lot of moments where I
Yeah.
judged her.
But the reason I was not on the train of wanting to quote unquote cancel Harper is because it's very clear when they arrive at the home of her family that she comes from a very toxic family dynamic and a very judgmental dynamic. And the thing is, you can tell that the dynamic that she has grown up with has made her so afraid to be herself that and she's been hurt by this dynamic by her family, and you know the old saying, hurt people. So I think that unfortunately, as we also find out from the Aubrey Plaza character later, that Harper, outed her in high school when they were actually, romantically interested. I know that was kind of the point when a lot of people were like, fuck Harper. And I'm like, yes, like, but she's like, it's just everyone's queer experience is just different. And it doesn't mean you shouldn't call out things that are problematic. Like again, I get people being like having a hard time getting on board with Harper, but I think that this is also another type of queer person in the world, and we have to have a little more. I wish more people had a little more empathy with,
Mhm.
think about how much pain Harper must have been in to be that uncomfortable that she was that afraid to be herself.
Of
That's a lot of
herself.
pain.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
a lot of pain.
Or she was also afraid of rejection from her family, of
Yes.
revealing who she was, because she was comfortable being herself with Kristen
Mhm.
Stewart,
Yeah, we get the feeling,
obviously.
like, I have the feeling from what I sort of got from this movie is that she doesn't spend a ton of time with her family except
Mhm.
around the holidays. And I have experience with this where you could live a whole other version of your life when you're not with your family that's much more queer, much more authentic. But then the second you go home, you go back to this like very um oppressed version of yourself, because that was me for a long time. Me, not to get too real, but you know
I'm
I
there
have
with
not
you.
always felt the most comfortable being around my family and being my gay self. Like I would act like a totally different version of myself. And I guess that's where I'm trying to say, I would hope nobody would ever judge me based on how I acted around my family, because that's only part of my experience. And honestly, her family was pretty frigid. Like it you definitely get, because her dad's like a politician also, so that's a whole other thing. And her
Mhm.
mother is very icy, played by Mary Steenburgen, very
No,
deliciously, but she is very icy.
and the dad is Vincent Garber. I would
Victor
love to
Victor
talk about
Garber.
the parents.
Yes,
Now, who wears the pants in the family?
the mom, I think
Is
so.
it the mom? You saw it being the mom?
Well, I think the dad is the reason they have to keep it together, but the mom is the one that enforces keeping it together. I think it's kind of
Mhm.
like, you all better not make a fool of your father at this dinner. Like it's kind of that kind of thing where like,
And she was the one who was always the one about like, well, we have to get the photo.
oh
And
my, oh, the family photo, I think, was such a metaphor for this movie. It's trying to uphold this facade of what the family is. Yeah. So
mhm.
we also, when we get to the house, the parents are great, but I think what makes this movie really juicy, and it was my favorite part, was actually the dynamic between the three sisters played by Mackenzie Davis, Mary Holland, and I did love Mary Holland. She was very funny. But Allison Brie plays what is her character's name?
Sloane.
She
I hated
oh,
her.
I hated her, but she was
Hated
so
her.
delicious playing that like awful awful character. I just love
I sh
Allison Brie.
she played it so
Yeah,
well
yeah, yeah.
that I just hated her.
Oh no,
Like,
yeah, she was terrible. But like, she was just such a fucking
oh,
bitch.
there was a moment where she corners Kristen Stewart and she like
Mhm.
asks her like a pointed question, and then Kristen Stewart starts to say something about it,
Mhm.
and then she just goes, "Uh, I don't want to have this
Yeah, she's
conversation,"
like, I don't want to be having this conversation anymore.
and just walks away. I was done with Sloane. I was
Oh
like,
no,
"Get
what a
out of my
bitch! But I
face."
also love bitches. I love bitchy characters because I mean, they're so much fun to play. So just from a pure comedy standpoint, love Allison Brie in this movie, and
Mhm.
Mary Holland plays her quirky, her quirky
Kooky, little weird.
sister Jane, who she is definitely like the black sheep of the family, even though she's not the gay one. And that's what's
She's
so
a little
funny is like
kooky and she's a little spooky.
little cookie, and she is working on her fantasy, her fantasy novel. She's been spending 10 years
Well,
writing.
it takes a long time to build a world.
It's a lot. World building takes a lot of time, and I just thought she also co-wrote the screenplay. And I just think from seeing her performance, you can see where a lot of the comedy came from, because she is clearly a very funny lady.
And she was the one best suited for the type of comedy that was happening,
Yes.
largely because it was, well, coming from her point of view, anyways,
Well,
behind the
and
writer's wheel.
the thing is, this movie at its core is not much more than what a usual made for TV Holiday movie is. It just happened to be like, I think, a slightly better script, and it
Well,
actually has.
to throw it back to the one of our other shows this season, The
Mhm.
Family Stone.
Yeah.
That's what this reminds me of. It just
So this is
reminds me
definitely
of
the queer family, a
it's
queerer
the
family stone.
it's the lesbian love story of The Family Stone for me. It followed that family dynamic of go home, meet the family, and then
Yeah.
antics ensue. You know, all the way down to that crazy ass fight scene in the hallway.
Yeah, the fights.
Which threw me for a loop because I'm like, you're telling me that they are like 2 feet in that hallway, just like going at it, and like no one's aware until this one moment. It
Well, I
just
think they show them being like, what the fuck is going on? But they just keep thinking, well, they'll keep it in the other room at least. And then
Mhm,
things do not
mhm.
go so well. But we are also introduced at one point to Aubrey Plaza, who we find out is a sort of old flame of Harper from high school. And Aubrey Plaza has real like big dick energy in this movie. Like just
She
like,
plays a doctor named Riley, I
yeah.
do believe.
She looked so sexy in this movie. Like I'm
And she was also relaxed in her role.
yes.
Much more than I've ever really seen Aubrey Plaza. Aubrey Plaza has always sort of like, no offense,
Yeah, yeah.
she's always kind of on
Yeah.
for
Also,
me.
I
You
get it.
know, it's like she's always acting like
Yeah.
Aubrey Plaza.
She was very relaxed. Very
In
relaxed.
this, yeah, she was super relaxed, and she was giving me, honestly, she was giving me Diane Keaton energy. And
Really?
yeah, she was.
Do you know what
It
kind of
was
energy
a
she was
masculine
giving me?
energy for me. Yeah.
See, me, she was giving me almost like a Sigourney Weaver vibe.
Nice.
Like dark, piercing eyes, very like intense but relaxed. That thing that Sigourney
Even
Weaver
Catherine
said to her.
Zeta-Jones, like she was killing it for me. I
Yeah,
really, really
and she's always just she had all of her outfits always just like gorgeous. And yeah, so the whole time they're kind of like, what's her deal? What's her deal? They keep keeping their distance. Then she finally reveals that she dated Harper in high school, and that Harper, when kind of like accidentally outed as being a lesbian, went, well, no,
she
I'm not a
scapegoated her. Yeah, she
yeah, she went, oh
scapegoated
no,
her.
she's gay. And here's the sad thing. Ugh, this is why, again, maybe this is why I actually, you know, I don't think I am the Harper character in any way, but I definitely had kind of a gross moment like that when I was a young gay person, where I was still in the closet and somebody was like, uh, kind of trying to out me, and I was like, oh no, they're gay, they're gay. I'm not. I
Oh.
mean, bad news bears.
Well,
Like, you
it's
know.
just bad news for anybody involved at
Oh,
all.
and it was in
You
high
know?
school. I'm gonna keep that in mind. This happened in high school. Think about like, oh god, you know, high school. And but it was like, oh, Aubrey Plaza, no. But then you also get the feeling that because that happened to her, she had more time to also connect to herself and become a more like, you know, settled in herself, in her skin, in her being, in a way that Harper still is almost still as repressed as she was in high school. She just happens to actually have a girlfriend now. You know, she's still in the same place emotionally with her family that she was pretty much in high school.
Yeah, and I think that explains why, for instance, she stayed at the bar with her ex-boyfriend until 2
Mm.
a.m. because I don't think she was going to do anything necessarily or whatever.
Oh
But you know what?
no.
She was, because she was back home with her family and in this family dynamic where she has to fit into this world, he probably felt comfortable to her.
And it was like a role play. Like, oh, and I'm kind of flirting with
Exactly.
my old boyfriend. Yeah.
It was her it's her mask, you know, like if she flirts with him for the whole week and he keeps popping up at the parties and whatever,
And she'll be
it
going
just
home at the end of
makes
the
it,
week, whatever. Like, you know,
yeah,
yeah.
it makes it easier. But my issue was
Uh-huh.
when the communication broke down between Harper and Abby. If I
Mhm.
were in Kristen Stewart, if I were in Abby's
Yeah.
position, like the night when she stopped texting, when I decided to go home from the bar,
That hurt me.
that was so, I would be so upset too.
Yeah.
And she went and tried to talk to her about it, and she treated it like it was nothing. And in
I
fact,
think
why are you keeping tabs on me is what it became. And I was
yeah.
like, whoa, 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 whoa. You asked me to be in the closet this weekend. The least you can do is be emotionally available.
Oh yeah.
You know, if we can't physically be affectionate, you will be emotionally available to me this weekend.
Well, and I think what we kind of also see happen in this movie is uh Abby probably sees the worst sides of Harper that she's ever seen. Like she's never seen these sides of Harper before. We get the feeling in their relationship. She knew Harper as, oh, my lovely cute girlfriend that I enjoy. Oh, because we also find out before they even go to the family that she's planning on proposing to her on Christmas morning.
Shooketh. I'm shooketh.
Because she's
Of
speaking to her friend played by everyone's favorite homosexual of Schitt's Creek, Dan Levy. And they have a whole lovely conversation that we will be reenacting later. And so that's the other part that's so hurtful, is like you're watching this whole movie and going, oh my God, she has an engagement ring in her bag. Like she's like planning on proposing to this girl in a few days, and she's being treated this way. Ugh.
I couldn't even imagine or deal.
And then we get the fucking and it would be her fucking kids, Sloane's kids,
Sloane's devil children of the corn.
Yeah, they go to the mall with Abby, and they make it look like Abby shoplifts, and so she gets embarrassed in front of the whole family. And of course, later they admit that they did it, and everything's fine. But
there's also that woman from the dinner, like who she literally had just walked up to and tried talking to, and was like completely blown off. And then she's made to look, absolutely horrible. Yeah. And then she gets the slap in the face of, Carolyn just thinks it'd be better if you didn't come to dinner.
Oh my God, that really killed me.
I'm like, dude.
Like, granted, I did like that they tried to show that Kristen Stewart at one point was like, you know what? I think maybe I should just go home and let them have the rest of their holiday. But then it's just like, she doesn't have a car with her, and Uber back home would be like,
$1,000. I looked at the price.
Ooh, yeah.
It said 9 times holiday surging, and it was $1,000.
Let me tell you, then people might think like that's ridiculous. It's actually not that ridiculous. If you think about holiday surge prices and how
there are places where like a block can be $20.
Oh my,
like San Francisco.
Insanity. But I will say one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie was when she goes to get a drink with Aubrey Plaza, Kristen Stewart, and they go to a local gay bar where who should be singing Christmas carols but Jinx Monsoon and Ben de la Creme. And what a joy to see those two.
Oh, what a joy, what a joy, what a treat, what a treat.
And they have spoken about the making of this movie and said that it was a lovely experience and that they were treated with a lot of respect in a way that most film crews do not usually treat drag queens. So I liked that a lot.
Something I loved about that scene was, the song that they're singing is hysterical. The character that Ben is playing next to Jinx's straight character is absolutely brilliant. I love that these two got to show their talents in sort of full force in tandem, and it's recorded forever in this movie posterity.
I love it.
They deserve it. Out of all the queens out there, these queens deserve, and they got to come like full center. They're like, all right, we're coming in to get a little more intimate. Like right. It was absolutely wonderful. One of my favorite parts of the whole thing.
Loved it. I love this too, because Jinx Monsoon is one of my favorite drag queens of all time.
And I have a feeling this won't be the last time we bring up Jinx Monsoon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so here's the part where I was like, now hold on here, Miss Thing. When Harper finds out that Abby went to have a drink with Aubrey Plaza, she's like, why were you two having a drink? And I'm like, bitch, you stayed out with your ex-boyfriend until like 2 a.m. So like maybe like not bring that up. And what I love though is that they show Aubrey Plaza, and I think I will say Aubrey Plaza, Kristen Stewart, natural chemistry. Like
I loved them. I literally did want them to get together, but it wouldn't have made sense.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like it's easy. Here's the thing with this, and I think people forget like this is supposed to be an established couple that's been together for a very long time.
Exactly.
It's really, and I know this for myself, it's really easy to get swept off your feet by some fresh person when you're in a long relationship.
They haven't been in that long of a relationship. It's been a year.
But like a year, like that's, you're used to the person. I think after
and living together for 6 months.
Yeah. So like, all I mean is like, it's easy to get, romanced by some fresh person that you have Yeah, because I mean, I'm sure if she spent enough time with Aubrey Plaza, she would find things she doesn't like about her. So it's easy to be charmed by a fresh person that doesn't come with baggage or all the little,
Or a lifetime
idiosyncrasies.
guarantee.
A lifetime guarantee. All little idiosyncrasies that come with a person when you get to know them over a lot of time.
Mhm.
Because I've been in relationships where I thought this person's a perfect person, and then when you're with someone long enough, you find out the little cracks, the little imperfections. And granted, she sees some big imperfections, but what I ultimately like about the movie is that it it really gets to the point where Harper's like, I'm not willing to lose this person that I am so in love with. Like, why am I trying to keep up this facade for my family that makes me feel like shit when she's the person who I actually love and am my best self with. And so I did like that it feels emotionally earned, the ending, when they to jump ahead, still end up together. I
Yeah.
think I think they put them through enough hurdles as a couple that it doesn't just feel like it doesn't feel to me like Kristen Stewart just rolls over and takes it. Like, she definitely does ponder like leaving her, and there's
She
that
left, after it first went
yeah.
down in the house, and then she makes that horrible moment where she's like, "No, I'm not gay," like in front of everybody, and it's just like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God."
Oh,
And
I
yeah,
know.
Kristen leaves. What I will say is it all seemed very real,
It
all of
did.
that, because they had not one, not two, they had three separate sort of moments that
Mhm.
it took for them to even consider actual reconciliation, which I
Yeah.
thought was unfortunately real.
Well, and yeah, and then Dan Levy shows up to try to rescue Kristen Stewart, and I
Love
think
that.
yeah, and I think his monologue that he gives to Kristen Stewart, I think that is a crucial moment in the movie, and I would even dare to say I don't think the ending would work without that monologue, because he is sort of the person for the audience to be like, "Hey, hey, hey, I know you all hate Harper right now, but let's remember that the coming out experience is not the same for her." Because he says to Kristen Stewart, "Oh, what did your parents say when you came out to them?" She's like, "Oh, they said they loved me and supported me." It's like, cool. My dad kicked me out of the house and didn't talk to me for 13 years. So like, everyone's experience is different. And he also reminds Kristen Stewart that her not being out of the closet is not it's not a personal attack on Kristen Stewart. And I think that's an important distinction to make, that I think when you're under that much stress, you make bad choices because you're not acting in your most rational self, because
and and neither
you're in a
is your
frenzied
partner.
state. Yeah.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
unfortunately she hurts her partner in the process. Um
Speaking of the Dan Levy
mm,
character, he also has, I mean, he brings a lot of the comedy to this
yes.
whole thing to me. I totally caught the whole thing, where he's scooping the dead fish out of the tank, and he's like,
Oh my
if
god.
I if I really like these fish and I wanted to get myself exactly the same one, where would I get that?
If I were to go buy one of these fish,
You
where would I do
know,
that?
yeah. And it's
Yeah,
like, you know
because
what? I'll
Kristen
just Google it. I'll just Google it.
well, because Kristen Stewart, yeah, she was supposed to be pet sitting for people, and then he literally
It's so
kills.
funny though that, like, later when another phone call's happening, he's literally at the
Yeah, yeah, yes.
It's like
Oh, I
it's
love the slow build of all of that. That was great comedy.
it got funnier each time that they went back to it. Also, he has probably one of my favorite lines in the entire thing, where he's like, "There's nothing more erotic than concealing your authentic self." It was just so funny,
Yeah, he
relatable.
and when Mary Steenburgen welcomes him and is like, "Well, we didn't know. It would have been nice to know you were coming, but I guess make yourself welcome." He's like, "Well, she is fabulous."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She is amazing.
Also, when the painting is unveiled, okay, hold on.
Oh,
Anna Gasteyer. That's
yeah,
probably one of my absolute favorite cameos, because I
yeah.
think she's one of my favorite funny
Oh,
ladies.
I love
Like,
Anna
when it comes to
Gasteyer.
SNL, I just think what she does is it's her own unique lane.
Yeah,
Because her lines, while she delivered them all very, I don't know, matter of fact,
yeah.
they were the ones that made me laugh out loud.
Oh, she's yeah. She got
she was absolutely bad lady, but like super super funny when she opened the picture frame at the white elephant.
it. Yeah.
And she holds it up and she looks at it. She
What
at
is
one point
this?
just goes, "Yeah, what is this?"
What is
Just
this?
completely confused by
And
sentimentality.
it was a painting that
Jane.
Jane. I always want to. I was like wrong one. Jane had painted, and I love. Yeah, it cuts a cut away to Dan Levy's like, okay, I love that.
Yeah, he's like, I love that. But then he like immediately tries to butch it up because he's standing there with the
Oh, I love
husband,
that. Who's like,
you
so
know?
he's like,
Do you live? Do you press? What?
Wait,
What?
do you press me?
It's like, oh,
That guy
yeah.
was fucking hot. I was like, oh man. I mean,
He
not in a
was.
way
That
where
was one
he's
of my
not
favorite
type.
moments.
He's not my type, but I was like, that guy's hot.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel about the ending with the parents and the whole wrapping up of that after Harper finally comes out for real?
I thought it was messy, but then this movie has already sort of set a precedent for itself where it's like, I'm not like the other Christmas movies, because it's lesbian.
You know, I
And
think
I'm
was.
gonna be
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I think that it ended well, but like I wish that the dad had, talked to everybody sort of about like, I don't know.
I guess he does. He's like, well, I think saves it. This is what I think makes me okay with it.
I was left with a little blue balls is my personal.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say the only reason I bought it is because they never established that the family is a religious family. Like that's never what they say. It's more based on your father's in politics, blah blah blah. We should like they're conservative but not religious conservative, and so that to me because that's when I wouldn't
because they're very materialistic. They are. Okay.
Yeah, and so I think as a testament to Mary Steenburgen, who plays the mother, I think her monologue to Victor Garber after Harper comes out, where she's literally like, "Our daughter has been living in pain and just had her heart broken by her girlfriend because she was so afraid to be herself with us that she was just living." Like, I think without that, I think two pivotal points in this movie. I think we needed the Dan Levy monologue and we needed the mom monologue. I think those two monologues are what make the landing stick. I think if that writing had not been as strong, the ending wouldn't have worked as well for me.
You know where else though for me is I'm gonna throw in when Kristen and Aubrey Plaza first go out for the drink and she tells her the story about dating Harper in high school because it's one of the only things that I think could have anchored Abby back down to be like, you know what? Just see it through. This is 5 days. We can make it through this. Because she was really considering at that 2-day mark to be like, I'm out of here.
Well, a lot of the things that hurt Kristen Stewart the most were moments where Harper was being reactionary with something. She was just like, well, what? Why are you crowding me? Why are you crowding me? Or like when her whole family is staring at her like, oh, well, because we find out Allison Brie's husband's having an affair and they had a whole secret with that. And the whole reason she even came out or started to quote unquote come out is because Allison Brie was literally just outed her in front of the entire family, which made me go like,
guests.
Yeah, like you're a fucking bitch.
The room was full.
And I can if your whole family was staring at you like, oh, is that true? Are you a lesbian? Like, it's not unbelievable, sadly.
That's unfortunately a moment we're never gonna forget. That's scarring no matter what.
Yeah. But I will say because they go through so much turmoil, it also makes the ending so for me so sweet because it's like I mean, how do you not get a little emotional watching a queer person finally living their authentic self, I mean, how do you not find some joy out of that? At least for me.
I mean, the scene where they finally do come back together and it ends with a Tegan and Sarah song, which oh my god, it's a song called Make You Mine. I'm a huge Tegan and Sarah fan. It was like Tegan and Sarah was where I began in learning about lesbian culture.
Me too.
So
In high school, my lesbian friend Amanda would make me mix CDs of
mine
all
was
the Stephen and
Brittany.
Sarah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's quintessential for me. And so like it was like, I don't know, it came together really nicely for
And
me.
I love the thing I also love about this movie is that it's a lesbian gay movie. Because I feel like sometimes, for some reason, it's a lot of like gay male couple movies, but you don't see as many, especially mainstream lesbian romance.
Bi, or trans. We don't see it enough. We
Yeah.
just sort of stop at the G,
Mhm.
and that's not enough. Not in
Because
this
for
day and
whatever
age.
reason, and I don't know why that is. I don't know why people find that to be more palatable for a mainstream audience or
It's because
whatever.
they think that they understand it. They think they've already gotten that category, and they
can play up on like effeminate men. Isn't that funny? Like, it's just, there's lots of old tropes that get thrown in.
So the last comparison that I am going to draw to it
Mhm.
about the Family Stone,
Oh yeah.
it was they end with coming together, and then boom, we get 1 year later,
Yeah.
and it's zooming in on the
Aw.
ring. So we start off from knowing that things are
And you
the
see
best.
the family at a gay pride parade. Like that was very sweet. I did like that whole montage.
It was very, very cool. I loved it.
I have heard that they are potentially planning a sequel to this.
I
That
would really enjoy.
Clea Duvall wants I think she said she wants it to be about like them planning their wedding essentially, and it would just go into more stuff. So I would be down. I'd watch the fuck out of that.
Yeah, I think everybody had a really good chemistry together.
Yeah.
Some of my people that were just like my favorite sort of parts in it. I love the mother, which was played by Mary Steenburgen. She was just absolutely wonderful. She was one of my favorites,
Oh, I've
along
loved
with
her
Kristen
forever.
Stewart and Aubrey Plaza, Dan Levy. Oh my God, everyone was really good.
Oh, so one other thing related to, we were living in the time of COVID. I read that in an interview, it was when she was on the Stephen Colbert show, Aubrey Plaza said that at the end of production, which was in February of this year, that the man who was driving her to the airport, she asked him if he was worried about COVID, and he said, "Oh, that's they filmed this in Pittsburgh." He said, "Oh, that shit's been in Pittsburgh for a long time," and then she told him, "Oh, well, Kristen Stewart and several other people on the shoot got COVID like during the shoot, and she luckily didn't get it." But yeah, so like yeah, the whole thing.
Oh,
Yeah, so
wow.
they just finished this before like the film industry shut down. So yeah, whew.
Wow. Well, I think that this is one of those movies that for sure is getting thrown in the queue for
In
Christmas
the
every year.
queue.
I fucking love it. Put it in the Christmas queue.
Love
Queue it
it.
up.
Put in the Christmas queue. Well, should we jump into the two gays acting segment of
I
today's
think it's
episode?
a perfect time to do that.
Oh. Would you like me to set up the scene for the listeners?
Yes, please. I have to get into my Kristen Stewart wig.
Kristen Stewart. Yeah. Yeah, he does this in full drag. You can't see it, but he is in full drag as Kristen Stewart.
I'll be
So
right back.
in this particular scene, I'll be portraying John, who was played by Dan Levy in the film, and Aaron will be playing Abby, played by, of course, Kristen Stewart. In this scene, John has just found out from Abby that she is proposing to Harper on their trip, and he expresses some concerns and questions.
All right,
Are you
I'm
ready?
Yeah.
Abby, you and Harper have a perfect relationship. Why do you want to ruin that by engaging in one of the most archaic institutions in the history of the human race?
Because I want to marry her.
Okay, you say that, but what you're really doing is tricking the woman you claim to love by trapping her in a cage of heteronormativity and trying to make her your property. Okay, she is not a rice cooker or a cake plate. She is a human being.
It's not about owning her. It's about building a life with her. She is my person, and I really want everyone to know that.
I suppose that's one way of looking at it. So, when are you going to ask her?
I was thinking of doing it on New Year's Eve or New Year's, but now that I'm going home with her, I understand that this is very old fashioned, but I'm probably going to ask her dad for his blessing and Ask on Christmas morning.
I'm sorry. Ask her dad for his blessing? Way to stick it to the patriarchy. Really well done. Love it. I mean, here's the thing. I'm a huge. Are you a Schitt's Creek person? Are you,
huge.
Yeah. So it's a joy to see him on screen. He's such a. Like, I know he kind of plays sort of a similar type in everything I've seen him in, but he's so enjoyable to watch. I kind of don't care in a weird way. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
And I also don't think he claims to be like a master actor. I think he's more hired to be his Dan Levy like brand at this current point. I mean, hopefully we see more things from him, but I loved seeing him in this.
I think he was a perfect way to honestly anchor the Abby character with someone, because he was the one who kept checking in with her. She always had someone who was on her side, so even though we kept seeing her like being snubbed and being alone and whatever, somehow it was still believable that, like, I don't know, this could work.
Love him like tracking her the whole. It's like, how are you?
My
He's
favorite.
Like, how do
if
you not
NSA
get this?
can do
I
it,
have been tracking you.
You know.
Yeah.
Absolute insanity.
Well, I think it's time to make the Yuletide gay, because it's the point in the show where we rate the movie on our infamous gayometer. Every episode, we rank the movie with our gayometer, which rates the movie on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the most straight and 10 being the most gay.
I came to deck the hall, so get the out of my way, bitch.
Or to use examples from Happiest season, 1 would be not approving of your child being gay, and 10 would be 2 drag queens singing Christmas songs to patrons of a lesbian bar.
Oh,
what was it? Oxmud or Oxford?
Oh, that was the Oxwood, the gay bar where Abby and Riley have drinks. It was a tribute to the Oxwood Inn, which was a lesbian bar in Los Angeles that closed in 2017.
Oh my god,
that's insane! I was like, that's insane. One last little tidbit. I also read that Clea Duvall wrote this film as an autobiography because she said she wanted to write it so she could see her own experiences play out on screen. So this was a very personal. You could tell this is a very personal film. It was made with a lot of care, a lot of heart.
It absolutely did feel like a glimpse into a very specific story. I loved it,
and it was a queer story written by a queer person, directed by a queer person, queer actors all up in this. You know, you've got Victor Garber, you've got Kristen Stewart, you've got Dan Levy, you've got I think Aubrey Plaza is bisexual or pansexual.
I don't know.
I believe she is. But yeah, But it's back to the gayometer at hand. Would you like to go first?
Sure. I have had my gayometer in this whole time. So I think the temperature's done.
Did you put it in anally?
I'm going to plead the fifth, but
all right.
Certainly not my mouth, because I am talking. All right. Ooh, a hot one. This one is a 9. I think this movie's a 9 out of 10 for me. And
only
you
a 9.
Know why? Only a 9. Because it wasn't absolutely perfect. Because there were a few clunkers of a moment. I am gonna just take it down just a little bit. I think that it is a movie that bears repeating. It just I would love personally, I would be more excited about seeing a sequel, like you were saying. So this movie had a ton of lesbian kisses. It had lesbian plot lines here, there. We watched a lot of lesbian flirting, which was super fun.
Lots of Kristen Stewart in like a suit with like her, like just she always just looks so damn.
Aubrey
sexy.
Plaza too.
Aubrey Plaza too. Of course.
Okay, this movie just it made me feel the tingles in all the right places.
In all the right places. In the places that usually only the gayometer knows about.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me, I'm gonna give it a solid 10, only because because it's a gay story directed by a queer artist, written by queer artists in that process. It has queer actors in it. It doesn't shy away from affection with the gay couple. It multiple gay representations in terms of characters in the film. I also think it goes into a lot of this is where it's pivotal, I think, for queer people to be in charge of the writing process of a queer story, because there were so many little subtle like intricacies to this story that I don't think would have come out if a actual lesbian had not written it, because it, you know, the whole thing about coming out of the closet, that beautiful monologue would not have been written as eloquently by, I believe, a straight writer. It felt very true and very honest, and something I think every gay person can relate to in some way, or every just queer person in general.
I agree with you.
So it's a 10 for me.
That is 10s across the board. That's lesbian as it gets.
Board. 10 and a 9.
Yeah, 10 and a 9.
That's pretty good.
That's a pretty gay
We'll
movie.
see what happens with the sequel.
I feel like the sequel is going to be like perfect cake. Wedding cake, hopefully.
Well, this is the end of our holiday movie calendar. I think it's been a fun 4 movies. They've gone all over the map. I had a fun time.
Me too. It was not what I expected when we started out.
Yeah.
But I'm very happy with this. God.
Yeah. And so going into the new year, we have already announced we will be recapping RuPaul's Drag Race Season 13, which premieres on New Year's Day.
We're starting the new year off right. It's about to get severe up in here. Hopefully we have some twists and turns for your mama.
Some stunts, mama. Props to you, mama. I mean, hopefully we have some potentially very exciting things coming ahead for the listeners.
Things, queens, in-betweens, and undecideds.
Quiz. All that. I was trying to think of something that rhymed that didn't happen. But yeah, I'm excited for Drag Race to come back.
I am too. It's quite the cast. I know that by the time that this goes out, if you're not following us on our Instagram at 2 Gays Watch, we will have done a live over there doing about our first reactions to the cast and everything. So make sure to follow us there.
Yeah, so by the time this is aired, if you have not watched it, it's on our page. Before we sign off, do you want to let the listeners know where they can find you on social media, Arron?
I am always able to be found at AWholeHuman on Twitter, on Insta. You can support my other podcast at patreon.com/I2I podcast, EYE, number 2, letter I, podcast. And I'll see you next week.
And you can follow me at Zacary with no H on Instagram and Twitter. And like we said, you can follow the show at 2 Gays Watch a Movie on Instagram or at 2 Gays Watch on Twitter. You can follow our Facebook page. You can find all of our episodes and soon bonus content on our YouTube page. And Arron, again, I just want to wish you a happy holiday season. This has been so much fun.
It has been, dare I say, the happiest season.
The happiest. It's the happiest season of all.
Oh, Lord.
It's the Yuletide gay.
Yeah. By the way, if you haven't seen Jingle Jangle, get on that. That was a great one, too.
Jingle Jangle. Yeah, watch it. It's I like this. Anika Nani Rose, go off with that.
That's our Christmas gift to you.
Anika Nani Rose, you're welcome. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas, ho, ho, ho.
Kiss you,